is Shane at CSS, and I'm going to show you how to glue up your Torii Tower flat pack. I have the P2 model here, but these instructions also apply to the S4 cabinet. All you need to get started is some wood glue. We've got Titebond Original here and a couple of wet rags. So to begin, you'll want your side panels laid flat, and you'll want to start applying glue to the dados and rabbits on one of your side panels. Alright, once you've got glue down, I'm going to stand up this side panel on top of the back panel of the cabinet so that it's on a nice flat edge, and you can start putting your braces in place. There will be 3 braces with 2 holes cut out. Those will be the bottom 3 braces. And then this last brace also acts as a divider. You'll want to put this in with this dado facing the top of the cabinet. And apply some glue to that dado. You can put this brace in here. And then place top and bottom panels. And for any glue dripping out, you can clean it up with a wet rag. Okay, now we're ready to add glue to our second side panel. You should be able to fit this panel right over all these braces along with the top and bottom panels. It may take a few moments to get everything aligned. Just take your time going from one side over to the other, making sure all those braces are in their dados. Be sure to seat the top and bottom panels tightly. Alright, now we can start adding clamps. At this point we are just gluing the sides, the top and bottom, and the braces of the carcass. We'll be gluing on the front and back in a separate step later. So to start, I'm using 3 30-inch clamps. You do not need 30-inch clamps. Anything that'll fit 14 inches or greater will work for this glue up. So I'm clamping lightly, that way I still have the ability to move these panels. You want to make sure you're keeping these braces flush with the side panels.
Push those top and bottom panels in nice and tight.
Alright, at this point you can flip your cabinet up off of this panel here. Clean up any excess glue you've got on this back panel. All right, and now you're able to take 3 more clamps on the opposite side, and you lift the cabinet up just enough to fit that clamp under there. All right, now we clean up all the glue squeeze out along these joints. That way we can see if anything's out of alignment and gently push it back into place before we tighten the clamps down all the way.
Start at one end of
Start at one end of
the cabinet.
the cabinet and make sure that these joints are pushed flush with the side panels. You may need to loosen your clamps just a little bit to get some more movement. That feels nice and flush. Once you've double checked that all your panels are sitting flush and tight, you can tighten your clamps down. Okay, make sure there's not an excessive amount of glue squeezing out of these joints here. And once you have your clamps tightened down, then we are going to leave this to set for about an hour before gluing on our front and back panels. And at this point, to glue on the front panel, you're going to want to be sure that you leave this recess for the tweeter facing the outside of the cabinet, and make sure that on the inside of your cabinet, this space here with the divider, not the hole, which you can see here, hole in that top space. This will be the front of your cabinet with the solid divider, so make sure you got that facing up. Okay, so I'm gonna look at these joints here, and if anything isn't flush, right now you're gonna wanna quickly just sand it down to flush. I'm using 120 grit sandpaper. You can use 80, 120, 150. Anything higher than that might take you a while. Okay, with all those pieces feeling nice and flush, you want to wipe away any excess dust. And I would suggest propping the speaker up at this point just to get it off the ground. This will help you get your clamps underneath the cabinet for this step. Alright, with the cabinet propped up, we're ready to start gluing every edge on this front face of the cabinet. Now I can place my front panel on top. Remember to keep that recess for the tweeter facing out. Place it on there, slide it around. A little bit of a circular motion to get all that glue spread out evenly. And then I'm going to get it pretty close to lined up. Start putting clamps on, and I'll be adjusting it as I go. So we'll start in one corner, clamp down with just a little pressure. And as you're putting these clamps on, keep checking that this front panel is flush or even a little bit proud of all the sides and the top. As long as it's either flush or has a little extra material, that'll be easy to sand flush later on. Now I'm putting a clamp towards the center of the cabinet. Again, not too much pressure. We want to leave things adjustable at this point.
One clamp towards the other corner. Slide it back.
Important note on this step, I have the cabinet set up on its back panel here, but I did not put any glue on those edges. If you're gluing both of these panels on at the same time, it can be pretty difficult to keep things lined up and flush, so I'm doing them one at a time. Once you have all your clamps on, you can start loosening them up a little bit in pairs and checking the alignment. Top feels good there, so I'm going to crank these down.
Keep double checking as you tighten your clamps. They have a tendency to pull your piece around. Now moving on to the middle. Feels like that needs to shift a little bit. You need to loosen the bottom clamps as well. It feels good at the bottom there.
Possible you may have slight bowing in the center of your panels, and in that case you want to loosen your clamp just a little bit and firmly push that panel in, hold it in place, and tighten your clamp down. Okay, now that you've got all the clamps tightened, you can go ahead and wipe away any excess glue with a wet rag. Now that that panel's set, you're going to want to leave it for about an hour, and then you can repeat that same process to get the back panel of your cabinet glued on.